When it comes to Star Wars, Hasbro is absolutely clueless. I have the stats to back this up. Welcome back. Now, as I just said, Hasbro has no clue when it comes to Star Wars, and I do have the stats to back this up. We'll get to that very soon. But I was going to make this video for quite some time based on the fact that when I got back from Thailand at the beginning of December, I had a ton of packages waiting for me, two of which were those twin packs of Empire Strikes Back Bounty Hunters, which I think are just fantastic. These are the sort of things that should be released under the Retro Collection banner. But yesterday's Pulse live stream that I actually did sit through, it's the first time I've ever watched one in its entirety. Man, it was terrible. The people they have doing these announcements absolutely suck. They're liars, they're fakers, and totally unconvincing. Now, Black Series and Vintage Collection, none of my concern, don't collect them, don't care, but I will say this. How bad was that red-tinged Darth Vader with the feeble excuse that they're mimicking the old Revenge of the Jedi poster? Absolutely terrible. But the sad part is there will be suckers out there who will lap this up. And I'm thinking about last year when they announced that awful-looking Chrysanthemum Wookiee figure. And I remember seeing on Twitter someone saying, "Oh my God, Hasbro, what are you doing? This is terrible. I hate it, but I'll still buy it." So with that in mind, Hasbro can turn out all kinds of crap and there will be suckers who buy it. But my concern with Hasbro is solely the Retro Collection. Now, when that came out back in 2019, I was all on board. However, it completely sold out immediately and it took me months and months of waiting to finally get hold of a set. And they followed up with a second wave, which was The Empire Strikes Back. And in my opinion, they got lucky with that it just so happened to coincide with the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. And based on that, they then left things to the side as far as the original trilogy was concerned, so they could cash in on the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. Now, what they should have done in those in-between years was give us more figures from Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. They failed to do that, and they gave us all kinds of crap from, I think it was The Mandalorian got a couple of waves, and then Kenobi got a wave. And I will show you shortly how the stats prove that this was a massive, massive failure on the part of Hasbro. So, the stream yesterday had some pipeline reveals, which I'll just quickly go over, which again shows that they are completely clueless. None of these figures deserve to be part of the Retro Collection. Furthermore, they also announced another of these ridiculous prototype figures. This time it's a Mandalorian, which, based on what I'm seeing here, will be about the third or fourth different incarnation of the Mandalorian as part of Retro Collection. I can almost excuse them for doing the prototypes of these classic Kenner style figures, because I'm sure back in the day prototypes were made with whatever plastic they had to hand, so that is almost excusable. To then use that as an excuse to do a prototype Mandalorian figure, which of course was never made as a prototype in that style, so that is just another ridiculous decision, making use of their existing molds. But again, for some reason, these prototype figures seem to be popular, so people will buy them. But back to the point I want to get to, which is why they're clueless. As I said earlier, after Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, they then allowed themselves this 3-year window prior to doing the Return of the Jedi figures that should have been filled with more classic Kenner figures, but instead they went down this route of Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, etc. So, to prove that this shows how clueless Hasbro are, let's take a look at how much Amazon are selling these figures for, and we'll see the differences between classic vintage Star Wars characters versus the modern stuff they've been putting out under this banner of retro collection. So I'm just going to very quickly go through this Amazon page looking at Star Wars retro collection to show you the differences in prices when comparing classic Kenner figures to the modern stuff from modern shows that they've been putting out. So straight up, we see that Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan series, which most people claim to be a really nice figure, that's already been reduced, as has the Imperial Death Trooper, down to $7.69. As we continue going through this very quickly, the Armorer, $7.69. The star of the show, Obi-Wan, $8.39. Bo-Katan, $7.69. And surprisingly, down here, Boba Fett, $5.50. Now, everyone seems to go crazy for Boba Fett, but even Boba Fett in these ridiculous looking pants has been slashed in price. And I want to go down further to get to some classic figures. Here's one here. Darth Vader from 2019, the classic Kenner style Vader. That is $28.46. There's Reva at $7.99. So even she's apparently is worth more than a Boba Fett. Chewbacca from the vintage style from Kenner, $29.99. A full set of the first wave, $175. Han Solo, $29.99. Princess Leia, $24.99. So as you can see, people really only want the figures they enjoyed as kids, but Hasbro simply doesn't acknowledge that. Now, just to further emphasize the point I'm making, I've called up Big Bad Toy Store here, and we have the entire wave of the Mandalorian first wave fully in stock, available to buy today, as are all these individual figures, including Boba Fett, which Big Bad are still selling at full retail. There's all the figures from the Obi-Wan series, the second wave of Mandalorian available in stock. There you go, all the figures that came out. There's more Mandalorian figures. Now, interestingly enough, Big Bad have actually jacked the price on the Cara Dune. That's a bit sneaky of them, but there you go, all available. Only the Jedi wave is available for pre-order, and as you can see, none of the first two waves are available because those are being sold out because people actually want them. There's the evidence right there. People do not want these retro collection figures being used for modern TV shows. So there you go. Why is it I'm able to ascertain from looking at Amazon that people clearly only want to buy the figures they had as kids under the retro collection banner, and no one is buying these modern Disney TV show figures? If I can tell you that, why can't Hasbro take that on board and give the consumers what they clearly want? It makes no sense to me. They are absolutely clueless, and I hope you learned something from my little ramblings here. So if you did, please leave a like, please share the video, make sure you're subscribed, and stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.